Hi, Kelly. Our initial recording from the lesson didn't really. Well, let's just say it didn't work out. So I'm making a second one. You did a really good job of dealing with all of these technical problems. I'm looking forward to getting out there, meeting you in person, and getting that squared away for you. But just some things that you can practice until then. Or if this happens again, we need to do that again, right? Because this is not a really a set and let it live instrument. Although, trust me, what you're going through right now is not common. But it's that can happen if we drop the instrument. Basically, anytime that this bridge comes up, right, we're putting it under a tremendous amount of pressure that it's not being used to, and that's probably also what's happening to your pegs as well. But first off, the shoulder rest. So it fits over our collar, not our shoulder. Not there, just right there, right? You should be able to let it sit right there. And then we just want to picture the violin sitting right on top of that. And then how we slide this on is you can see that there's a little notch in each of these feet. Those notches should be turned in. That's how you know. And we know that because there's this little rim where the back is glued onto the side. You have that on the top too, but make sure the back goes on your shoulder, and that's where the shoulder rest goes. But the way I usually do it is I take one end and I hook it on, and then I take the other end and I line it up with that notches on the feet with the rim of the back, and you just slide it on. Now, if that's not tight enough, your particular rest, it's a little different than mine. Mine only has only one side's adjustable in and out, but you can unscrew those and then push those in a little tighter. Sometimes there'll be grooves or notches or holes that you have to pick. Sometimes it's just a slide. Another way you can adjust these is these feet. If you righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, if you screw the feet in, that's going to lower the height of the rest. If you unscrew it, it's going to raise the height of the rest. And notice that, sometimes, maybe you'll want one side a little bit higher than the other, right? You can do that. I can't do that for you. That's just everybody's anatomy. Everybody is a little bit different, and everybody's a little has a different way of wanting that to feel. There's also, when you get into this, there's a bunch of kinds of rests that you can experiment with. But I really encourage that side of it because this is a very unnatural posture for, our bodies to be in. And it's important that we are as comfortable as possible. Because we're going to put a lot of concentration into what we're doing once we're really moving. And if we're not comfortable, we're not going to be paying attention to that. And before you know it, discomfort turns to pain, and we're wondering where it came from. So it's good that we take the time to get that squared away. But you had step one. You showed me a beautiful bow hold, and I think you said one of your friends was making fun of you for practicing that. It's like, no, that's what you practice. So A+ on that. Step two is once this rest is on, it's up on our shoulder. We're looking forward. We look to the left. Our chin should sit right in this rest. Now you'll also look, my chin rest sits further in towards the center of the instrument, whereas yours, you have kind of the stock chin rest, which it sits out to the left a little bit. So you're going to have to turn your neck a little bit more. Again, I usually recommend people take that off and get a different chin rest that sits in the middle, right? You'll notice mine sits right over the tailpiece. So I put my chin right there. I don't really actually have to turn my neck far at all for me to be in position. So that's step two. Step three is combining step one and two. I explained it tonight. I'll explain it again for the video. That we have a little notch, right? It's imaginary, but there's a little track, a little notch, a little track. Some people call it the highway, right? And we want to put our bow on there, and it's very hard to do looking at a camera, but you want to have that bow go up and down in a straight line. So you'll see from the video, like my bow actually wandered forward a little bit. It wandered out of that track. You want to keep it in there. Now, what most people have a hard time with is, notice if you leave your string, if you leave the bow on the string and you move your elbow forward and backwards, you'll notice that that affects the angle of the bow. So really pulling a straight line is just about standing in front of a mirror and looking at that. Because when you have just this perspective, eyesight to the top of the fiddle, like, that's a really big angle, but you can't really see it. But if you look at your reflection, like I look at the camera feed here, I can see that my elbow is too far forward, meaning that the tip of the bow is behind my left ear. So I need to pull that back, right? Now I can see that the bow is pointing out that way. So I pulled my elbow back too far. Right about there is where I need it. And you want to do that because you can just experiment with this yourself, right? If you move the bow forward and back rather than perfectly side to side, you'll get that sound, and then you'll get and you don't want that sound. So you want it straight up and down. And again, I can just give you a demonstration of what that's like with the elbow. If your elbow's too far forward and you're pulling on an angle, it's a lot harder to control it from going back and forth. So again, I really appreciate your enthusiasm. I want to help you get through this little hump. The first few lessons are the hardest for everybody, even if this doesn't go wrong. So, again, keep up the great work and the great attitude, and I will see you soon.